Being black in Portugal. Very loaded statement, right? And the reason as to why I'm doing this video is also because there's lots of questions that have come about how is it like being in Portugal? How has it been living in Portugal as a black woman? What is the exact feel? Because I might just sit here and tell you all the fluff and tell you, oh, it's been nice, amazing, quality of life is amazing, all these things. Yes, it is actually amazing, yeah. But there's also the realities of, being an African living in a foreign country. And do you know what? I will tell you that you will experience this type of environment anywhere you go and you're foreign. You will obviously feel, a difference. So anywhere that's not where, you were born or your home country will always feel different. So I'll give you that for real. Now, one thing that you notice when you get to Portugal is the fact that there's lots of African people living here, whether they are from Portuguese-speaking African countries, Angola, Mozambique, Guinea-Bissau, Brazil, and so on and so forth. And nowadays we have lots of people from the US. So there's lots of African people who live here, which makes it easier because as you walk on the streets, as you interact with people, you'll find there's lots of African people. So you don't feel so much out of place. So this is actually a positive thing because you feel you are at home and you feel that this is a country that is friendly to the Africans and so on and so forth, which is actually very true to a great extent. I have lived in Porto, in Faro, and now in Lisbon, and each of these cities have very different experiences. I will tell you for a fact. So, I think, in my own opinion, and please do not come for me on the comments, is that, Porto has the nicest of people. Really, like this whole country has the nicest of people. The Portuguese people are honestly quite polite and want to be very respectful, which I love, because this is not something that is in Kenya as much as I want to give so much credit to Kenya. Kenyans can be nice, but we have our limits. Yeah, there's where we draw the line. We always say this in Kenya. There's where we draw the line. And so when I came to this country in the first place, my first landing point was in Porto, and my experience in Porto was amazing because, the hospitality, people wanting to help you as much as they can. Like even the first time that I was there, and I was there during Christmas period, I had even a random family, inviting me for their Christmas party, which was so amazing because in Kenya, we don't trust people just like that, so I had a very good experience in Porto. However, as well in Porto, there's what I like to say is that maybe some people might be a little closed up, especially if you lead by a foreign language. So what do I mean by this is, for example, if you go to a store or maybe you go to one of those local groceries and you lead by asking, do you speak English? That is something that can put people off, rightfully so, because hey, one thing that they maybe do as a rebuttal is like, you're in Portugal, speak Portuguese. So which, guys, it might not work if you tell someone that, like, hey, you're in Portugal, speak Portuguese. Maybe someone just arrived 2 minutes ago, you don't know this person, so that's not a very good thing to say to anyone. However, one thing that really helped me is to lead by even my broken Portuguese. Like when I go to a store and say even hi or, do a statement that is in my broken Portuguese, I would see a very big difference and people would be very open to actually helping me if I lead by the local language, which is Portuguese, obviously. So that is one thing that helped me overcome. Obviously, there are things that you will find pretty much everywhere. The side eye that you get, for example, when you go to a high-end shop or even in the supermarket and you're finding the security guard following you around. I obviously experienced that. To things like, for example, your in a bus or in a metro. I honestly never ever understand this, and maybe in the comment section you can help me understand it better, because sometimes you sit in the bus, right, and there's a seat next to you, right, and people will not want to sit next to you because I don't know. Please educate me, because I have never understood this phenomenon. I mean, and this has happened in Porto, in the Algarve, in even in Lisbon, and even in other different European cities. So I don't actually understand it. So perhaps maybe it's a sign of respect. I honestly understand maybe it could be a sign of respect, right? Like someone wants to respect your space just because maybe you're a foreigner. I honestly don't know. I want to think good things, right? I want to be the person that thinks good things, but I don't know. Please educate me in the comment section, because I want to know why. So there is also profiling that comes within the institutions, and this is something that I have seen even several people talking about on videos, where you're in an institution, maybe a university, or maybe in a job place where people think that, quote unquote, you might not be very conversant with certain subjects. This is something that, rightfully so, I would say, for me, is something that has been wired by the media, whereby, you maybe have only seen the image of Africans who are poor, or people who do not understand things, and maybe you think that this is exactly what a certain person is like. Maybe they don't understand, or they don't, grasp certain things, maybe in the university, which is very wrong. Let me tell you, Africans are very smart, very smart. And I'm saying this in not to say that, oh, we are better or whatever, but the thing that you will notice is that we work maybe twice as hard for us to be even able to get those opportunities in the universities, or even at work, or whatever else. We have to work twice as hard, honestly, and we have very good grasps of various subjects. So that is, I think, one of the things that I found institutional profiling, or institutional, if you want to call it, racism, whereby you feel as if someone is suppressing your voice, yet you actually understand things so well, and you want to have your voice be heard, and this is something that can be very discouraging, especially in an institution where you think that people have their minds open, etc. So yes, that has happened, and rightfully so. I would say it can happen pretty much anywhere else. Now, another thing that obviously is very common to hear, and I've seen it in the metros here, even in the trains and buses, or even on the streets, people shouting, "Go back to your own country." Really, guys, that is never gonna work. You know what? Because I could easily even be in Kenya and tell you, go back to your own country when I'm in Kenya, but we don't do that to people. We don't say that to people. As much as sometimes we can have some foreigners and they're driving us so crazy, this is not something that is ever even gonna work. So that rebuttal that, oh, go back to your own country. No. It's never gonna work to, as a rebuttal, or it's not going to make me go back to my country just because you said go back to your own country. And please don't come for me on the comments, because it's not a nice thing to say, to tell to anyone. I've heard of this quite a lots of times, where people would say, oh, go back to your own country, so that maybe that's where you ought to be. But then again, you forget that we level in very different grounds. You never know why this person moved into this country. It could be because maybe in their own home country they did not even have an opportunity for even work or even study. Maybe they did not have an opportunity for them to even earn an income or earn a living. Honestly, it is difficult, right? It could also be that this person just felt that it was time to move on from their own country and go and live somewhere and maybe realize themselves whom they are. It could also be that this person is actually just visiting your country because they love it so much, right? And one thing that I always keep in my mind is that, you know what, guys, this planet does not belong to anyone. So you can live in any one of the countries that you feel like living, and thrive there, because that's one thing that people really need to realize, that telling an African person to go back to their own country is not gonna work. And in any case, one thing that would be helpful is to maybe understand this person. Where is this person coming from? Why are they here? Maybe they drove you crazy. Maybe there's a reason as to why, and rightfully so, and you guys can have a conversation about it, and so on and so forth. So that is one thing that also has happened. So what are some of the highs that I have seen in this country? Is one, for sure, is that Portugal is very welcoming. Like I said, Portuguese people are very, very helpful and can be very friendly, honestly speaking. And one other thing that I noticed is that the ease of movement here, and like, for example, when you're at the beach or you're in public spaces and people are minding their business. In Kenya, nobody is going to be minding their business. People will be like looking. Maybe if you're doing something that is, out of the norm, everyone will be like in your business, right? Of course, there are people who are here, they will be like wanting to know, obviously, if there's one thing that is sweet is Portuguese gossip. Do you know? It is. I'm not saying that Portuguese are gossipers, but like Portuguese gossip can be very, very, very sweet, right? One of the things that I love about this country is the way that people mind their business, right? People will be very respectful of what you're doing, whatever it is maybe you're doing in a public space, and they will not want to just come and be disrespectful in most cases. However, obviously, like, you will find some cases in big cities, in Lisbon and some places even in Porto, where there are those outliers, and these outliers can be anywhere. They can be in Portugal, they can be in France, Germany, name it, they can be anywhere. Let me tell you, it's not like something that is just within Portugal. Now, another high that I have seen is the freedom of being whomever you really, really want to be. That is a thing that can be very liberating, and in this country it is very liberating to see that there's a freedom of being whomever you want to be, and freedom of worship, things like freedom of speech as well, is very liberating as well, to find that you can find your voice and you can find yourself in this country for real and thrive at it. Now, there is also obviously the African scene in terms of the music, dance, art, entertainment, and which is also very favorable. Things like Afro Nation in the Algarve, or Afrobeats nowadays in Lisbon or in Porto. So there's that part where you feel you can relate with the community. So because there's a huge community here, there's a big community, African community, for which you can relate to, which helps quite a lot. So now, as a Black woman as well, there's the question about dating and making friends with Portuguese people or foreign people, because there's lots of other people who actually live in this country who are not Portuguese. So you will find these people from Ireland, from Germany, from Norway, name it. Honestly, there's a lot there's a lot of people who live here. So in terms of dating and relating with these other people as well as the Portuguese people, now it is really something that is individual. So depending on you and depending on the circles that you perhaps meet, maybe at work or maybe in school or maybe in social settings, it's easy. It's actually easy to relate with Portuguese people, for example. It's very, very easy because, like I said, they're very friendly, and of course, it's not like it's a perfect world and everybody is going to be very friendly. In like cities like in Lisbon, people don't have time. Like, how big cities are. It's the same in Lisbon. People are on the go. They possibly don't have time to relate as much, to be as social. But like in places like in Porto and in Faro, I found like people being, it's more chilled down in the Algarve or in Porto. And so you will find that, people are very calm. They have time. time to actually take their time to relate with others, be very, very social, and take their time to give directions, etc. In Lisbon, sometimes you'll be like, plus you don't know who you're speaking to sometimes nowadays. So yeah, so this little video is just to tell you that yes, there are highs and there are lows of living in this country. There are things that will not settle in well with you, and I will tell you for a fact is that your perception is going to be very different from someone else's perception. You might like it, you might hate it. Some people don't like it at all. Some people don't even want to hear that they can live in this country anymore. Some people have come, they've left. Some people love it like I do. Some people will feel, have mixed feelings because they'll have some sort of different perceptions, and the way you perceive things is very, very crucial, because some people might find some of the things that are being done on a daily basis to be very condescending, depending on your background, depending on maybe you're comparing with your home experience, maybe you're comparing with another country that you lived in, and you're comparing your experience there and your experience here. It's going to be very different, honestly speaking. And you cannot pin it down to just Portugal, just because maybe you've lived there for maybe 2-3 months and you're like, oh, if this was country A, B, C, D, E, this would not have happened. Or if this was home, then this would not have happened. Of course, there are those scenarios where I'm like, if this was Kenya, we would never do that, right? So there are those situations where you're like, hey, no, it cannot be like this, in my home country. And of course, comparing the two countries, Kenya and Portugal, we have two very different cultures, which obviously I had to relearn and learn, the cultural way of the Portuguese, being more chilled. In Kenya, we are a go society, especially if you're in Nairobi. It has to be go, or you're not getting nothing today, right? So it's go. But here in Portugal, it's more chilled, it's more calmer. It's, like people want to, enjoy the little bits of life, like, sit somewhere and enjoy the sunset, or sit somewhere and enjoy the beach, or sit somewhere and enjoy a coffee. Which is very different from Kenyan culture, and this is something that I have had to learn, obviously. So it is something that you have to learn on your own. It is something that you have to find your own balance at work, at in your school, whatever else has brought you here, whether it's business, tourism, etc. Then this is something that you have to learn on your own and have your own perceptions, and out of that make your own sound judgments as to whether you want to keep living here or you want to maybe pursue something else. Like I said, this planet is a free planet, so you can easily just move to another place that you feel that this is the right fit for you. But I will tell you for a fact that every place you go, there is no one place in this planet that is perfect. There's always going to be a thing that drives you nuts, or a thing that gives you a high. So find your balance. So how has it been in a nutshell being in Portugal as a Black woman? For me, it has been a mixed feeling. Sometimes I feel, no, this is unfair, or sometimes I feel, oh, this is perfect. It could never be as perfect as this in Kenya, right? Sometimes obviously I compare systems in Kenya and in Portugal, and sometimes I feel like maybe Kenyan systems are better than Portuguese systems here. And it's been a roller coaster, and I would say, like, from my experience, would I keep living here? Yes, I would. As much as it's not perfect, 100%. I would keep definitely living here because it feels home. It feels like home when I am in Portugal, for sure, and it also feels like home when I'm in Kenya. So when I keep saying that I am in two different worlds, I'm always like my one foot in Kenya, one foot in Portugal, because I'm doing different things in both countries, and it works for me that way. And I think one thing that you can do for yourself is find your own balance, find your own cool, your own happiness, and stick by that and ruthlessly guard that way. You can be able to live peacefully. Okay, so I do hope that this video has given you some bit of insight. Honestly, I hope that you can be able to interact with me on the comment section, and keep subscribed and like this video, and let me know if you want to hear of such church times in the future, and whether this has been helpful to you, honestly. So until next time, have a good one. Bye.